Now, as far as comics go, I think that is something that we have, Justin and I have, that sort of separates us from the other podcasts. Just so, not saying that they don't listen to or read comics or have a great deal of comics history, but we have been talking about Batman comics specifically for years. So a lot of those elements in these upcoming episodes, we're going to talk about, like, sort of where it came from in the comics, if it did come from the comics, and we'll give you suggestions on what to read if you like the episode. And that's even one of the things that we're doing now with Gotham Central. We're giving that away once we hit 1,000 followers on Twitter. So if you don't follow us on Twitter and you're just stumbling across us on YouTube, then absolutely check us out, follow us, and we'll work on getting somebody a copy of Gotham Central digitally for free. Yay. Anyway, like I said, we do have a huge comics history, and just to say, what some of my favorite Batman stories are. Number one, and it's a tough number one. It really is. It's tough to pick from a lot of this stuff, but Morrison's Batman really hit home with me. That whole stuff. It's not just the story, although the story is really intricate and really developed and really thought out and just really good. It's also tied to the time that Justin and I spent doing our podcasting. It was a time where I was super, super into comics, and it was a lot of that was Morrison's work. So he drew me into a lot of that stuff that was going on at the time and got me out of, just reading trades and starting to read weekly issues and loving it so much that I was willing to dedicate hours upon hours a week to talking about this stuff. As I said before, that I was reading trades, and that's responsible, or the book that's responsible for that is The Long Halloween, by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I love Halloween, and I love Batman, so I was in Books A Million one time, and actually our producer of this show, not Gotham Confidential, but the podcast, I lent him my copy of The Long Halloween when I got it. I went into like a Books A Million when I was in like 11th or 12th grade and saw it and was like, whoa, Halloween and Batman, what could be wrong with that? And it turns out there was nothing wrong with it. A lot of Jeff Loeb's other stories really are similar, and so I don't really like a lot of his other stuff. I don't like Hush, and I'm not a huge fan of Dark Victory, and I am, however, a fan of Haunted Night. That's one of those books that I read every Halloween because it fits perfectly. A lot of scarecrow stuff. Perfect. Good stuff. Another book that I really liked a lot was No Man's Land. It took me forever to actually read it, but once I did and got all of the trades together, I absolutely loved it. Further than that, Gotham Central is absolutely one of my favorite comic books, period. It's written by mostly Greg Rucka with art by Michael Lark, but Ed Brubaker also did some of that stuff too. A lot of it was trade off and then continuing with Greg Rucka for the rest of the run. But it was fantastic, really gritty, really noir stuff. Gotham Police Department, no Batman. It's exactly what this show is to a degree. It's like a mix between Batman Year One by Frank Miller and Gotham Central. Speaking of which, Year One is one of my all-time favorite comic books. Also, that's one that would easily fight for Morrison's attention, or between Morrison and Year One. Like, it's very, very difficult for me to picture, or pick what my favorite would be out of those two. But right now, it's Morrison. Year One is Batman right when he started. It's like Zero Year by Scott Snyder, but condensed and really, really pretty. Not that Capullo is not doing a great job, because he is, but Year One is one of those comics that you really can't say anything bad about until you work in what came after that, and then you're like, oh god, all this stuff. But anyway, not getting into that, not getting into those like little critiques and little criticisms. But another Frank Miller book is also one of my favorites, and it is not All-Star Batman and Robin. It is actually The Dark Knight Returns. And if you have not read that book, Lord Almighty, you need to. The best interpretation I can say for it and I think this was a discussion that we had with Chris Sims at the ISB on Twitter. Chris Sims is one of those guys that's just like King Batman. So we were talking to him, and he's like, one of the things that he said specifically was that take on Batman is best read as if it were the Adam West Batman. And when you read that next, think about that. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's really, that's an eye-opening experience. So it's not just about Batman being angry and punching things and just being, well, I mean, there's part of that, but it's best read with that subtext. So if I could give a suggestion on what to read, I'd say that all three, what is this? 6 books. All 6 of these books, if you haven't really read a lot of Batman, start here. Don't start with Morrison, because that'll just confuse you, because it's so intricate. Again, this is only if you have not read comic books. If you have read comic books, read the Morrison stuff. But Long Halloween, No Man's Land, Gotham Central, Year One, and The Dark Knight Returns are all stuff that you absolutely have to read. Aside from that, that's pretty much me. Like, that's me as it relates to comics and as it relates to Batman. There's a lot of other stuff, but we can talk about that some other time. Again, I'm Hunter Camp. This is Gotham Confidential. If you want to follow us on Twitter, go to twitter.com/Gotham Podcast and follow us there. Again, we're doing that contest. And then you can go and check out all the other stuff, podastery.com. That's a way to go. So thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you check out our podcast, because we want you to. Thanks so much. This is Hunter Camp signing off.